My name is Gary Miedema, and I am the Chief Historian and Associate Director of Heritage Toronto. And we are in St. Lawrence Hall, which is a architectural gem in the city in its Old Town area. Heritage Toronto is a charitable agency of the City of Toronto that works with local citizens and local communities to raise awareness about the city's history. We're lucky to be doing that. There's lots of history in the city that is very little known history. And often it's the people in their own local community, it's the local volunteers that we work with who know those stories very, very well. So we work with those folks to make sure those stories get as much exposure as they can. And our thinking, the reason why we do this is we're convinced that heritage is about city building. It's about creating a future as much as preserving the past. So we want to make sure that the stories of the city are really better known, because we know that if people hear those stories and understand those stories, they're going to care more about the city that they live in, and they're going to work harder to add their own contributions to this great city. When you realize how people have built the city in the past, I think it's inspiring to think about, well, hey, I could play that kind of role building the city in the future. Some of our key programs, and I think our walking tours program, and really our tours program, is a great way to get to know the City of Toronto. So there we have 58 tours being run this year across the city. Almost all are volunteer-led. So volunteers come to us with their interest. I'd like to lead a tour in this particular neighborhood, whether it's Rosedale or Cabbagetown or Harvard Village or Weston. And they research and write the tour and then lead the tour. And people can, they are booked on particular days. And people are able just to show up, and however many people come, and away you go. So there could be 20 people, there could be 150 people walking through a neighborhood, learning some of the stories about its history. We have developed some new tours this year. We're doing bus tours and also some what we call boutique walking tours, where instead of risking showing up with 150 people, you can book a tour for 15, and then it becomes a paid tour. But you get that much more intimate experience. And one of those tours that we're quite excited about is the Creating Toronto tour, which we were commissioned to do by Doors Open Toronto. And we had about 1,200 people come over the weekend to experience that tour, which was a fabulous crowd. But it's a great way to explore in 10 stops the history of the city based on themes of, would Toronto become the financial center of this country? What happened to make that happen? How important were the railroads to Toronto? What's happened in the city around entertainment? What about medical innovation that's happened in the city? And there's 1,001 fascinating stories about what this city has, what people in the city have done. So that's a great opportunity, I think, for people to be able to book that tour and take it for a run. And apart from that, we have a plaques and markers program that I think people coming to the city and interested in its heritage will probably become aware of as they walk around the city and notice close to 500 plaques now that are out there marking everything from a heritage home to the location of the site, an archaeological site of an Aboriginal village, to a 1930s skyscraper. So there's really quite a wide range of buildings that we've, in sites that we've commemorated in the city. Some of them in a new program that we've just developed called the Legacy Plaque Project. And we've done that in partnership, again, with the Toronto Legacy Project, where we're highlighting individuals. And they're small plaques. They don't give a lot of information, but they just indicate that someone who's done something really exceptional in their field of endeavor, whatever that is, lived here. So as you walk the streets of Toronto, the residential streets, you can be surprised by finding out this is where Marshall McLuhan lived, or this is where Jane Jacobs lived, or this is where Morley Callahan lived, or Robertson Davies, or, you can go on down that list of really amazing people and stand in front of their home. And that's a neat experience, I think, where you realize, wow, they lived in this place with their families and made their contribution out of this particular site, I think is something really rich as well. Toronto celebrates itself today as a city of neighborhoods. And I think many people who come to the city will come downtown and they'll do the major tourism destinations. And they might miss the opportunity to see some really vibrant, wonderful neighborhoods with really vibrant main streets that, when you're there, feel like a small town. They no longer feel like a huge city, but you realize that you're in a community with a really vibrant neighborhood of coffee shops and bakeries and all kinds of things. So whether you're on Queen West or in the Annex along Bloor Street or Bloor Street West or out in Riverdale, those neighborhoods with beautiful residential streets, often with very old homes, are really a wonderful place to stroll as well. And that's, again, where some of our walking tours explore those areas with people who often live in those neighborhoods to take you through some of those areas and introduce you to them.